Yep, we're rolling for another fragrance review. Today it is LATTAFA, or LATTAFA Pride, same thing. ANSAAM Silver, nice shiny bottle, matte black and so on. But we're not going to go on about the bottle, we're going to go on about the fragrance. So this is a clone, as far as I'm aware, of Azzaro the Most Wanted EDP. Now there is nuanced versions of the Most Wanted by Azzaro. There's the EDP, there's the Intense, there's the EDT. There might even be several others. I think they've even brought out an elixir, like a lot of companies do. So either way, then the base DNA of Most Wanted is this. Now, I have smelt the Most Wanted before. It was actually in a boot. So just again, like when you're doing samples or want to request a sample from one of the workers there, I just opened up the drawer for me. I thought, yeah, I've heard about this fragrance. It's meant to be quite nice. The breakdown is more of like what I would like as I've got older. So obviously, for the price of the original, and as I mentioned in the past with other videos, the reason people buy clones is to save money. Sometimes you can find a fragrance like this one, not always, but with this one in particular, that is like 80 to 90% off of the original, meaning the performance, the smell profile, and so on. One thing I will say with this, I've had this over a week now. Got this just after the LATTAFA camera. You're gonna get people that don't, or boo clone fragrances. Now, if you've not smelt the original or experienced the original or had bottles of original fragrances, it's hard to kind of give 100% honest opinion. But this is still my opinion, again, having sampled an actual sample of Azzaro Most Wanted, as well as having it twice on my skin, or both arms again, to go away to see like how long it lasts on my skin. This comes very close, not just on the smell, but the projection and the longevity. So again, when you've got a fragrance that you can buy for a third or a fourth, or sometimes even more or less, I should say, than the original, minus being someone who isn't knowledgeable to the clones, and or what's considered a bit of a snob when it comes to, I just want to buy this brand, I just want to spend this money because I've got the money to do it, or because it impresses certain people. I think when it comes to fragrances, the main key, or the main take home, is that obviously you wear it for yourself, but other people will smell what's in the air and what comes off of your body, and obviously they'll compliment you if they like it. So in that sense, even when people do it with me, when I wear a clone fragrance, I'm not embarrassed to say if I'm wearing a clone, but sometimes I'll just throw that in, like, yeah, I've got more recently, it's called Angel Share by Killian, or in the past, like let's think of a well-known clone like Club de Nuit Intense Man by Armaf. If you just say, yeah, I've got Creed Aventus on, most people, and again, that's a very popular fragrance, it's a very popular clone, most people will compliment you on it. So it doesn't really matter. So what I'm trying to say is that when you're buying a fragrance, it should just be for you. But at the same time, if you can save money and you have the knowledge that clones, not all are created equal, but some of them are very good, which I'll now go into this. Obviously, I do a bit of an introduction because, again, I just see a lot, especially online, not so much in the real world in terms of talking to people, but online, lots of, should we say, snobbery towards clones. And again, I'm someone who, when I was younger, I didn't trust clone companies. A lot of the clones back in the 90s were rubbish. I would spend top dollar out of my own money when I'm a young man, and I didn't have a lot. Or my mum and dad would buy expensive fragrances, Armani and so on, Prada, because they knew that they're trying to treat me. And again, sometimes it's not just about the money spent, but it's the quality of the product. And again, they've come a long way. So back to the review. Yeah, so what we'll do, go through the notes as usual. Oh, and the price. So this again, excuse me, just getting over a chest infection. That's why I've not, for several weeks, I've not really been up to much, not been uploading or anything. I've been very ill. So I just thought I'd mention that because again, I'm coughing and spluttering like I did in the other video I've got to upload. Anyway, so the note breakdown's quite simple here. It's just the top is cardamom and bergamot. The middle is made up of lavender and guarana. Almost said banana then. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a banana note in a fragrance, but there might be one. Comments down below if you know of a fragrance that contains banana. And the base is vanilla, amber and patchouli. And also this is an EDP. So this again, ANSAAM Silver by LATTAFA, is based on Azzaro Most Wanted EDP. So I'm going to put it on the skin and then do our review. So what I can say is, even though the formula is quite basic in comparison to, say, off the top of my head, pretty much every other fragrance I've been reviewing more recently, if I could go back in time, I would say some of the Jean Paul Gaultiers, their profile tends to be like this, like 6-7 ingredients, maybe even less in some instances. But again, this is something I've learned. It's not always like everything in the kitchen sink, meaning, or the saying of all the ingredients in the world will make an amazing fragrance, and vice versa. With this one, it's very basic, but it smells classy to me. That off of the top and how I perceive it, it's very pleasant, it's very wearable. I don't want to just say it again, as I mentioned in previous video, this is just summer only, this is just winter only. If anything, how this comes across to me, it's like a signature fragrance. So this is something that I think that someone would wear in the office, even going out, and it's something that, again, because of how I detect the smell, it's very fresh and classy, but it's also got an element of sweetness. It ticks most of the boxes, in my opinion. It's strong, it's masculine, it's got that sweet element, so it's not the other side of the spectrum in terms of like very woody, very ambery, very smoky, leathery, that kind of how I place them, in my opinion. And then you've got the other end, which could be more unisex, leading towards female, which tends to be very sugary, sweet, syrupy, in your face, loud, that sort of thing. So this is like middle of the road. Again, there isn't really notes of wood in here, which I tend to like. But in terms of the dry down, in terms of longevity and performance, so longevity on the skin, I'd say 6 to 8 hours. Obviously, sometimes a bit more on clothes. It's just very pleasant and very wearable. Unlike some of the fragrances I've reviewed more recently, I think that most people, like a high percentage, 90%, would really like this. And again, backed up with vanilla in the background, and obviously there's a lot of fragrances of Jean Paul Gaultier's, the DNA of that, most of them contain vanilla as well. So I tend to find a vanilla amber background, in my opinion, are quite versatile, and I think most people like mass appealing. But yeah, just very wearable. I can't stop going in and smelling it, so maybe there's an addictive quality within the formulation. Again, it's, when just looking at the notes, it's very basic in what it has, but what it does do is very effective. So again, just to show the bottle, this is ANSAAM Silver by LATTAFA. I would probably give this an 8.5 out of 10. No real negatives. Again, it's just the fact that there are some fragrances that I prefer slightly more, but they're a bit more projecting, got a bit more about them. But an 8.5 out of 10, highly recommended. Clone of Azzaro Most Wanted. This is LATTAFA ANSAAM Silver, 8.5 out of 10, recommended, and nothing really more I can say. with this one.